On January 23, 2008, the world woke up to the shocking news that Heath Ledger, one of Hollywood's brightest stars, was gone. The 28-year-old actor, who had just delivered a chillingly iconic performance as the Joker in The Dark Knight, was found dead in his SoHo apartment in New York. The media ran wild with the headline, "Overdose." But was that really the whole story? Or was there something much darker lurking beneath the surface? The start of Heath Ledger. Before Heath Ledger became a Hollywood icon, he was just a kid from Perth, Australia. Born on April 4, 1979, to Sally Ledger Bell, a French teacher, and Kim Ledger, a race car driver and mining specialist, Heath grew up in a world far removed from the flashing cameras and red carpets. In an interesting literary twist, he and his sister, Kate Ledger, were named after the star-crossed lovers in Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. But it was more than just a name. Kate would become one of the most important people in Heath's life, shaping his early ambitions and, ultimately, his acting career. While most kids his age were still figuring out their hobbies, 10-year-old Heath was already so good at chess and winning the Western Australia's Junior Chess Championship. But while he could have pursued a future as a chess grandmaster, something else pulled at his heart: acting. His first taste of the stage came when he landed the lead role in his school's production of Peter Pan. Something clicked. He was meant to be in front of an audience. But just as his love for performing was taking shape, his family life took a heartbreaking turn. The divorce that shaped him. At the same age, Heath was discovering his passion for acting. His parents' marriage was crumbling. His parents separated when he was 10, and by the time he turned 11, they were divorced. While Heath tried to make sense of his new reality, he buried himself in acting, finding escapism in characters and stories. But little did he know that this childhood escape would soon turn into a career that would change Hollywood forever. But it came at a cost, one that many believe played a role in his tragic fate. Early acting career. Ledger found emotional release in acting, choreography, and dance, and continued seeking out roles in his grammar school. He also tried his hand on the big screen as an extra in the movie Clowning Around, and later appeared in the TV series Ship to Shore. At age 16, Ledger completed his early graduation exams, and he traveled cross-country to Sydney to pursue an acting career with his longtime friend Trevor DeCarlo. After various small roles on television, Ledger's feature film debut came in 1997 in the emotional drama Black Rock. This led to a starring role in the historical fantasy series Roar, co-starring Kerry Russell, and backed by financiers in the United States. The series was nominated for several awards and exposed Ledger to American audiences and Fox executives. At the urging of then-girlfriend Liza Zane, who also appeared in the series, Ledger sought out an American agent and followed Zane back to Los Angeles at the age of 19. By the time Heath Ledger arrived in Los Angeles at 19, he wasn't just another hopeful actor trying to make it big. He was already turning heads. His boyish charm, raw talent, and undeniable screen presence made him a standout. But Hollywood wasn't going to make it easy for him. At first, Ledger was hesitant about the roles he was being offered. Many casting agents saw him as the perfect teen heartthrob, but he wanted more than just high school dramas and rom-coms. However, when 10 Things I Hate About You, 1999, came knocking, he decided to take a chance. And that one decision changed everything. 10 Things I Hate About You wasn't just another teen flick. It was a modern-day retelling of Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew, and Ledger, playing the rebellious yet charming Patrick Verona, stole every scene he was in. His performance, that smirk, that infamous "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" serenade, made him an overnight sensation. Studios wanted more of Heath, but instead of cashing in on his teen idol status, he made a bold move. He walked away from the romantic lead roles and sought out deeper, more complex characters. And as time did tell, that decision paid off. In 2000, He starred alongside Mel Gibson in The Patriot, proving he had the dramatic chops to stand shoulder to shoulder with Hollywood's elite. From there, he took on roles in A Knight's Tale, 2001, Monsters Ball, 2001, and The Four Feathers, 2002, showing his versatility and dedication to his craft. His talent was tested in the lower-budget Monsters Ball, 2000, opposite Billy Bob Thornton, and the highly experimental A Knight's Tale, 2001, displayed Ledger's abilities as a true leading man. His exposure in these films, coupled with his growing reputation as a Hollywood playboy, led People magazine to name Ledger one of its 50 most beautiful people in 2001. Roles that shaped him. Ledger worked steadily on independent films until 2005, when he was once again thrust into the spotlight with his contribution to one of the most controversial films to date. Ledger received Best Actor of 2005 awards from both the New York Film Critics Circle and the San Francisco Film Critics Circle for his performance in Brokeback Mountain. In the film, Ledger plays ranch hand Ennis Del Mar, who has a lifelong love affair with aspiring rodeo rider Jack Twist, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. He also received a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor in a Drama and an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor for his performance, making him, at age 26, the 9th youngest nominee for a Best Actor Oscar. It was on the set of Brokeback Mountain that Ledger met actress Michelle Williams. The two began a whirlwind relationship, and their daughter, Matilda Rose, was born on October 28, 2005. In New York City. Matilda Rose's godparents are Ledger's Brokeback Mountain co-star Jake Gyllenhaal and Williams's Dawson's Creek, 1998 to March, castmate Busy Phillips. Problems with paparazzi in Australia prompted Ledger to sell his residence in Bronte, New South Wales, and move to the United States, where he shared an apartment with Williams in Brooklyn from 2005 to 2007. In September 2007, Williams's father, Larry Williams, confirmed to Sydney's Daily Telegraph that Ledger and Williams had ended their relationship. After Brokeback Mountain, Heath Ledger had solidified himself as one of the most fearless, boundary-pushing actors of his generation. But instead of basking in his newfound Hollywood royalty status, he made a bold choice. He sought out roles that challenged him, roles that dug deep into the dark, messy corners of human emotion. Ledger's next project, Candy, was a raw, gut-wrenching portrayal of love, addiction, and destruction. Starring alongside fellow Australian Abby Cornish, Ledger played Dan, a poet hopelessly in love with the equally tormented Candy, both of them chained to heroin and desperately trying to escape. The role was intense, and Ledger poured his soul into it. The haunting way he embodied Dan's downward spiral, the trembling hands, the glazed-over eyes, the sheer desperation, it wasn't just acting. It was pure, artistic immersion. His performance was so powerful that it earned him 3 Best Actor nominations. Critics and audiences alike were shaken. Ledger had tapped into something frighteningly real, and it wouldn't be the last time. Shortly after Candy's release, Ledger was officially invited to join the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, a monumental achievement for someone who, just a few years prior, had been dismissed as a teen heartthrob. Ledger wasn't one to take the easy road. His next project, I'm Not There, was a wild, avant-garde take on the many faces of Bob Dylan, directed by Todd Haynes. 6 actors played different versions of Dylan, and Ledger took on the role of Robbie Clark, the romantic, brooding, and self-destructive side of the legendary musician. Critics raved about his performance, praising his ability to effortlessly embody Dylan's tortured artistry. But for Ledger, accolades had never been the goal. He wanted to disappear into roles, to become the characters he played, and that mindset would ultimately push him to his limits. Then came The Dark Knight, the role that consumed him. When Christopher Nolan announced that Heath Ledger would play the Joker, the backlash was instant and brutal. Fans, critics, and even some in Hollywood scoffed. The guy from 10 Things I Hate About You, playing Batman's most legendary villain? But Ledger wasn't interested in proving people wrong. He was simply interested in creating something terrifyingly new. So, he locked himself away in a London hotel room for 6 weeks. No distractions, no outside world, just him, a notebook, and the descent into madness. He experimented with voices, facial tics, and eerie mannerisms. He filled the notebook, now infamously known as the Joker Diary, with disturbing imagery, cryptic messages, and unsettling thoughts written in the Joker's twisted perspective. And when cameras rolled, what emerged was pure chaos incarnate. Ledger's Joker was unpredictable, chilling, and magnetic. He didn't just play the Joker, he became him. The dead-eyed stare, the maniacal laughter, the slithering movements. It was a performance so unnerving that even his co-stars felt the weight of his transformation. He would walk onto set, and we all just stepped back, said Michael Caine. It was that powerful. Ledger himself admitted that the role shook him. In an interview, he described his Joker as a psychopathic, mass-murdering, schizophrenic clown with zero empathy. The impact of playing such a dark, twisted role began taking its toll. Ledger struggled with severe insomnia, anxiety, and overwhelming exhaustion. He confided in friends that he was only sleeping 2 hours a night and had started using a dangerous mix of prescription just to get through the day. 6 months before The Dark Knight was set to hit theaters, Heath Ledger was gone. When Ledger passed away on January 22, 2008, the world was shocked, heartbroken, and left with so many unanswered questions. His death was officially ruled an accidental overdose, but the eerie details surrounding his final days, the Joker Diary, the cocktail of medications, the mental toll of his roles, made it clear that Ledger's devotion to his craft had come at a devastating cost. Despite his tragic end, his legacy was immortalized. When The Dark Knight was finally released, Ledger's Joker became one of the most legendary performances in cinematic history. Posthumously, he won every major acting award, including the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. His family accepted the Oscar on his behalf, the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor, accepted by Christopher Nolan, and the BAFTA Award for Best Supporting Actor. Although Ledger's acting in The Dark Knight was electrifying, people can't help but wonder, what about the other Jokers? The Joker is arguably the most famous villain in fiction. He's a murderous clown, a psychopath who will kill you and then crack a joke about it afterward. Ever since the 1930s, when the Clown Prince of Crime made his grand comic book debut, the Joker has been the arch-nemesis of Batman. Their rivalry has become iconic in fiction, ranking among other legendary rivalries like Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty, Harry Potter and Lord Voldemort, or Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. There have been a number of famous live-action portrayals of the Joker over the years, and 2 of them have won Oscars. When Heath Ledger stepped into the role of the Joker in The Dark Knight, 2008, he didn't just play the part, he became it, crafting a twisted, chaotic, and utterly mesmerizing villain that would redefine the character forever. His performance was so hauntingly brilliant that it earned him a posthumous Oscar, setting an impossibly high bar for any actor brave enough to don the clown paint after him. Then, a decade later, Joaquin Phoenix took up the challenge in Joker, 2019, delivering an entirely different, yet equally captivating interpretation of Gotham's most infamous villain. Phoenix's Joker, Arthur Fleck, is a man broken by society, a fragile outcast whose descent into madness feels disturbingly real. While Ledger's Joker thrives on anarchy and the sheer thrill of watching the world burn, Phoenix's version invites you into his tortured mind, forcing you to witness his tragic transformation into the Clown Prince of Crime. Though both actors painted their Jokers in shades of madness, their performances are strikingly different. Ledger's Joker is an enigmatic force of nature, a master manipulator who spins elaborate, conflicting backstories about his scars. keeping us guessing about his true origins. He doesn't need a tragic past. His evil is raw, unpredictable, and utterly compelling. Every detail of his performance, from his chilling voice to the eerie way he licks his lips, cements him as one of the most unforgettable villains in cinematic history. Phoenix, on the other hand, brings a deeply psychological and painfully human take on the character. His Joker is not just a villain. He's a victim of a cruel world, abandoned, ignored, and pushed to the breaking point. His transformation is slow, agonizing, and punctuated by moments of eerie beauty. His unsettling dances, his chilling laughter, and his final, triumphant descent into chaos. And while Phoenix delivered an Oscar-winning performance of his own, Ledger's Joker still casts a long, menacing shadow over the role. His Joker was a force of nature, a gleeful, theatrical anarchist who stole every scene and left audiences hypnotized by his madness. Phoenix's Joker, though masterful, is bound to the weight of his tragic backstory. So, who played it best? Ledger, the brilliant agent of chaos, or Phoenix, the deeply disturbed outcast who lets his pain consume him? One thing's for sure, whoever plays the Joker next has some massive clown shoes to fill. The role that defined Ledger's career ultimately took a toll on him, and in the days leading up to his death, the signs of something being amiss was there. The days leading up to Ledger's death. At just 28, Heath Ledger was at the peak of his career, a young superstar, a devoted father, and an artist who gave everything to his craft. But behind the scenes, he was grappling with the pressures of fame, a painful breakup, and the exhaustion of pushing himself too hard for too long. By January 2008, he was physically and emotionally drained, retreating to his New York City apartment in search of rest. But rest never came. Ledger had always been a perfectionist, throwing himself fully into his roles, sometimes at the expense of his own well-being. By the time he began working on The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, he was battling chronic insomnia, relentless exhaustion, and a lingering pneumonia-like illness. He was exhausted, emotionally and physically, recalled his close friend and dialect coach, Jerry Grenell. No matter how hard he tried, sleep eluded him. He took sleeping pills, but they offered no relief. Grenell would hear him pacing around the apartment in the middle of the night, unable to quiet his mind. I'd get up and say, "Come on, man, get back to bed, you have to work tomorrow," Grenell said. He'd just shake his head and say, "I can't sleep, man." The weight of heartbreak. Much of Ledger's suffering stemmed from his broken relationship with Michelle Williams, the mother of his daughter, Matilda. The two had split in late 2007, and while Williams tried to move forward, Ledger was tormented by the loss. Heath was always blaming himself, said director Terry Gilliam, a close friend and mentor. He kept asking, "What did I do wrong?" He was drowning in legal battles over custody, overwhelmed by a growing army of lawyers, and above all, he missed Matilda, his little girl, the one person who brought him true joy. He desperately wanted to see her and hold her and play with her, Grenell said. He was desperately unhappy, desperately sad. Ledger knew he was spiraling. He hated the pills he was taking. He hated how they made him feel. "I got to stop," he told Grenell. "It's not helping. I'm not well. It's making me feel more upset." But stopping wasn't so simple. His body was weak from illness, his mind fractured from exhaustion, and his heart heavy with sorrow. He needed rest. He needed peace. But peace never came. Jimon Hunsu, who starred alongside Ledger in The Four Feathers, 2002, recalls an unsettling encounter in New York just months before Ledger's passing. "I ran into him, hadn't seen him for a couple of years, and thought, wow, Heath has this change." Hunsu says in the documentary, "I am Heath Ledger, but the way he has changed kind of got me a little concerned." Hunsu wasn't alone in sensing that something was wrong. Friends and colleagues saw the exhaustion, the weight he carried, the toll it had taken. But to his family, Heath was still the same boy, full of light. Kate Ledger, his beloved sister, spoke to him 3 times a day. While others saw hints of despair, she saw her happy, goofy brother, cracking jokes and teasing like he always had. He never projected doom and gloom, she tells People, but beneath that bright exterior, even she knew he was struggling. A few weeks before his death, she warned him to be careful with his medications. "I just said, you've got to be very careful mixing things." And he was like, "Katie, hello, come on, of course." Her final memory of him is one of laughter, not sadness. Their last conversation was warm, casual, just another moment between a brother and sister who adored each other. "I was cooking dinner, and we were laughing. Then he said, 'I've got to go, and I'll call you at 8:30 in the morning.' And that was it. That was our last conversation." She pauses, remembering the moment that would become a permanent echo in time. "I said, 'Okay, I love you.' And that was it. It's heartbreaking." For the world, Heath Ledger was a once-in-a-lifetime talent. For those who loved him, he was so much more. A man with an infectious laugh, an artist who poured his soul into his craft, a father who adored his daughter. How was Heath Ledger found? Heath Ledger's tragic and sudden death in January 2008 stunned and shocked both movie fans and the film industry alike. When the news of his death hit the wire, it was reported that he was found face down and naked on the floor of his New York apartment, per Reuters. Some early reports speculated that Ledger's death was an overdose because pills were also discovered, even though no official cause of death had been released. Others speculated that it was suicide by use of illegal drugs. President George W. Bush even postponed an event marking the launch of an ad campaign aimed at preventing prescription abuse, WFLX. So what really happened on January 22nd? On January 22, 2008, Heath Ledger was found dead at a Manhattan residence Tuesday. Police told ABC News' Richard Esposito that prescription drugs, including sleeping pills and 2 anti-anxiety medications, likely played a part, and the death appeared to be accidental. At 3:31 p.m., a masseuse arrived at the apartment in Manhattan's downtown SoHo neighborhood for an appointment with Ledger, police sources said. The masseuse was let in by a housekeeper, who then knocked on the door of Ledger's bedroom. When no one answered, the housekeeper and the masseuse opened the bedroom and found the actor unconscious at the foot of the bed, naked and face down. Police told ABC News they found bottles of diazepam and alprazolam, 2 anti-anxiety drugs prescribed in Ledger's name. The housekeeper and masseuse shook Ledger, but he did not respond. They then called the authorities. Police added that they did not suspect foul play. Initial reports claimed actress Mary-Kate Olsen owned the apartment Ledger was found in, but police denied that the residence was Olsen's. A police source later said the maid or the housekeeper called Olsen, and her security team responded to the apartment on Broome Street. They said it was not clear who owned the apartment, but Ledger appeared to be a resident. The superintendent of the building, Tamba Mossa, told ABCnews.com that Ledger had been renting the apartment for about 4 months, but he didn't know who owned the residence. Mossa added that he was surprised to learn about Ledger's death, saying the actor had always been very nice and would often go on walks with his young daughter. "We are all deeply saddened and shocked by this accident," Ledger's publicity agent said in a statement. "This is an extremely difficult time for his loved ones, and we are asking the media to please respect the family's privacy and avoid speculation until the facts are known." Ledger's family read a statement outside their home in Perth, Australia, Wednesday. "We, Heath's family, can confirm the very tragic, untimely, and accidental passing of our dearly loved son, brother, and doting father of Matilda," his father Kim said. News of Ledger's death hit Hollywood fast. 2 hours after his death was first reported, Nicole Kidman, who hails from Ledger's home country of Australia, released a statement to reporters saying, "What a tragedy. My heart goes out to his family. I had such great hope for him," Mel Gibson said in a statement to reporters. Gibson and Ledger worked together in 2000's The Patriot. He was just taking off, and to lose his life at such a young age is a tragic loss. He continued, "My thoughts and prayers are with him and his family." A search of Heath Ledger's apartment revealed 6 different types of prescription drugs. Anti-anxiety and sleeping pills were found, though no illegal drugs. A rolled-up $20 bill was found next to his bed, but it contained no trace of narcotics. 3 of the drugs were prescribed in Europe, they said. Ledger had recently been filming in London. The pills were found in bottles in Ledger's bedroom and bathroom, and police said the death appeared to have been an accidental overdose. Ledger's longtime agent and friend, Steve Alexander, spoke to the actor the night before he died, and like Kate Ledger says, the conversation was light. He was in the supermarket, buying some things for dinner he was making at the apartment that night. He says, "We had a great chat, and it was like, okay, talk to you in a bit." And that was it. He sounded super happy, all good, nothing out of the ordinary. Close friend and director Matt Amato tells People he spoke to Ledger the day he died. And although he also knew his friend was ill and overworked, he still had energy for humor. "We would communicate on iChat 2 or 3 times a day. So the last thing he said was, 'I'm going out to buy some cigs.' I said, 'Figs.' We were terrible at puns, and we would make that a running joke. Terrible puns. He said cigs, and I said figs. And that was it." Grenell also says it was obvious that the star was unwell, and he pleaded with his Ledger to accompany him back home to Ireland instead of New York. But Ledger declined. Grenell still wonders what could have been if the star had taken him up on his offer. "I said, 'Come to Dublin, you're not well,'" he recalls. And he said, No, I got to go to New York. There's stuff I need to do." He was contemplating not going, but in the end he did. And I'm sad to say, and we're all sad to say, that's when everything went, and he left us. Despite the actor's eventual success and posthumous Oscar as the Joker in The Dark Knight, Ledger's friend and agent, Stephen Alexander, tells the magazine that Ledger was always hesitant to be in a summer blockbuster, with the dolls and action figures and everything else that comes with one of those movies. He was afraid it would define him and limit his choices. Friends say that Ledger agreed to join the Batman franchise because it would be such a long shot that it would give him an excuse to turn down other offers. Ledger reportedly had a pay-or-play deal for Dark Knight, meaning that he'd receive a paycheck no matter what, so he took creative liberties with the Joker. According to cinematographer Nicola Pecorini, Ledger hoped his performance would be so over the top that he'd be fired. An apartment in Lower Manhattan, New York City, where late Australian actor Heath Ledger passed away 15 years ago, has been sold for a whopping $14.25 million, according to the New York Post. The news outlet reported that, located in SoHo at 419 to 421 Broome Street, Ledger had rented the 4,400-plus square foot unit for roughly $25,000 a month. Property records obtained by the Post show the home sold last month to an anonymous LLC in an off-market deal. Although the buyer has not been named in the report, title documents reportedly suggest that the sale is in the name of an unidentified limited liability company. Autopsy and Toxicology Report. On the 6th of February, 2008, the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner of New York City released its official findings on Heath Ledger's death. Following an initial autopsy on 23 January and a comprehensive toxicological analysis, the report confirmed that the actor died from acute intoxication due to a lethal combination of prescription medications. The substances found in Ledger's system included oxycodone, hydrocodone, diazepam, temazepam, alprazolam, and doxylamine, a potent cocktail of painkillers, anti-anxiety medications, and sleep aids. The report emphasized that the overdose was accidental, the result of misusing prescribed medications. Although early police reports estimated Ledger's time of death between 1 p.m. and 2:45 p.m. on 22 January, The medical examiner's office chose not to disclose an official estimate. Ledger's tragic passing intensified concerns about prescription use and the dangers of combining multiple medications. In 2017, forensic pathologist Jason Payne James suggested that Ledger might have survived had hydrocodone and oxycodone been excluded from the mix. He further theorized that the combination of possibly compounded by a chest infection, led to respiratory failure. By late February 2008, a DEA investigation into medical professionals connected to Heath Ledger's death cleared 2 American doctors, one in Los Angeles and another in Houston, of any wrongdoing. The agency determined that while these physicians had prescribed Ledger other medications, they were not responsible for the pills that led to his fatal overdose. As speculation swirled around Mary-Kate Olsen, her attorney, Michael Miller, issued a strong denial on 4 August 2008, rejecting claims that she had supplied Ledger with the Despite tabloid speculation, Mary-Kate Olsen had nothing whatsoever to do with the found in Heath Ledger's home or his body, and she does not know where he obtained them, Miller stated. Just 2 days later, on June 6, 2008, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan officially closed its investigation into Ledger's death, dropping its subpoena of Olsen and confirming that no charges would be filed. With both Olsen and the 2 doctors cleared, one lingering mystery remained. Where did Ledger obtain the oxycodone and hydrocodone that contributed to his tragic overdose? Who do you think portrayed the Joker best? Was it Heath Ledger's performance or Joaquin Phoenix's performance that did it for you? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our next one. You won't want to miss what's coming up.